Good. Right. Delighted to have joining us now on Radio Row as I check that we're actually recording, which we are. Perfect. Delighted to now have with us on Radio Row. And this is what the joy of being down here is. This came out of nowhere, but they've got one of the best shows, podcasts around at the moment, and two guys who've been doing it in the league for a while as well. Will Compton, Taylor Lewan, how are you guys?
Outstanding,
Phenomenal.
sir. We really appreciate you having us on.
How long have you been in Phoenix for? How long have you been doing this for so far? Have you managed to get out yet? Like, what's been your experience of the Super Bowl so far?
So we got here over the weekend. Yesterday we did a lot of content surrounding Barstool. So the Yak, shout out the Yak boys, dude. We did Barstool Radio out at the Barstool bar that they just opened up in Old Town, right?
Yep.
And then today we interviewed Max Homa, legendary golfer right now.
Outstanding. Just made bags a week ago.
Bags, yes, dude. Oh, what was it, like 8 million?
8.7, I believe it was.
Talked about the waste management. Then we did the rundown and covered some sports topics. Now we're here at Radio Row for a few hours. Then we're going to get Dana White later this afternoon. So it's been, you guys know how it is. You're set up. You're trying to grind it out. You're trying to get as much content as possible. And that's what we're here doing too.
You getting a day off at all while you're here? You getting time to relax?
These next 4 days are going to be an absolute grind for us. But we mentally prepared for this. We sat down. We went through everything. We're like, it's going to be ups and downs. We just got to keep going. That's what teams do.
And the positive, too, like Taylor's from here. So his family that lives here, we're staying at their house. And we got all the families here. Like, we're enjoying, like last night, we enjoyed the evening. We're watching The Last of Us, getting everybody caught up on the show. But we're enjoying ourselves, too. But, yeah, during the morning, afternoon, the boys, we're in it.
I've had jet lag, obviously. And I woke up on Monday morning at 3:30 a.m. First thing I did, download episode 4, watch that in bed. Unreal. It's been insanely
Have not seen
good.
4 yet.
Man.
We're getting the families caught up 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
So they were on, I think they watched the first 2 last night. Now they're about to watch 3, which 3, is a good one.
Yeah, unbelievable.
But I
heard 3's a tearjerker. I'm only episode 1, and I'm way behind everybody else. But I'm very excited to see what happens.
Yeah.
Big zombie guy.
Yeah.
Big zombie guy.
Did you play the game?
What's that?
Did you play the game?
I did not play the game, but I did play Left 4 Dead. I played a whole bunch of those games growing up, too. Big Halloween guy.
Yeah.
Big Halloween guy. So
Okay.
I embrace the spook.
Halloween not a big thing in the UK like
Really?
it is here. Like, I've been out here once. Love the
Embrace
shirt.
the
Maybe
spook.
you guys can embrace the spook for us over in the UK.
Hey, I'm down for getting involved. Ollie, you and I, producer Ollie, we're going to embrace the spook. There we go.
Yeah,
we're going to make
awesome.
it happen.
It's outstanding.
For people from the UK who aren't familiar with what you guys are doing with Busting the Boys, tell us just a little bit about this journey, what the decision was to do this, because it's been a lot of fun to watch from the distance,
I'll let
guys.
Will go into how this whole thing started, because it really was his baby, and then I'll tell you kind of what our podcast is about.
So it started, I was in the middle of the luxurious, ever-growing career. I think it was, year 7?
I believe
year
so,
6,
yes.
year 7. And I was a backup and special teams guy going into free agency and thinking, okay, this could be the last hoorah. Like, do I really want to be on a 90-man roster and make the 53? Like, go in that whole grind of the offseason.
It's a grind.
And I've been dabbling with the idea since, I want to say maybe 2014 or 15 in Washington about, I've always been like a podcast junkie. The Rogans of the world, Fighter and the Kid, just all the podcasts, dude. Bigger Pockets, shout out Bigger Pockets, a real estate podcast as well. And I thought it'd be cool because there was no, active NFL player podcast. So I was like, man, it'd be sick if I built up the courage one day to actually, do this. And then when I was in Tennessee in 2018, being a special teams backup guy in that role, thinking man, I wonder how much longer my career is going to last. I'm about to turn 30, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, my wife, my now wife, Taylor, a couple of the boys, people were like, hey, you should get that thing going. You should stand that thing up. I remember asking Taylor, and he was kind of he was kind of on the fence about it at first. We were still in the middle of ball. I'm writing the stuff down, figuring out okay, this could be the approach. And then the off season, right after the season's over, we're sitting at a local Chinese restaurant.
Banged
busted, yeah. No painting on the wall, phenomenal spot.
Phenomenal spot.
Hole in the
Hole in the wall, yeah.
The best.
They're waiting for us.
Nothing was real mean.
By the way,
Yeah.
if you're from here, we need some spots. You need
Absolutely.
to be
I got a nice little spot for you.
And
Absolutely.
they're waiting on us to leave because we're shutting the place down. We're having a good conversation. He's like, hey, I'll do the pod. I'm in. We shake hands, we get the pod going, and then we find the bus. He leaves on a hiatus for 3 or 4 months. I'm like, are you sure you're in?
To work.
Because if you're not, well, I got to start figuring out how to go right now. If you are, like Titanic, I'll wait for you. I will wait for you to return. He comes back. We find the bus, just another production company. There's a bus for sale in the back gravel parking lot. We turn. He's like, hey, I'm going to turn the bus in the studio. I hated the bus idea at first. He loved the bus idea. And he's like, if it doesn't work, I'll sit in my backyard. We
the bus.
Build out the studio, sink about 10 to 12 grand into it. We backlog our first 5 episodes. We're nervous as hell starting it off, but that's how it kicked off, in a gravel parking lot. A generator that we would have to rig and plug into the The trailer business.
Yeah, there was a trailer business outside of a warehouse, Wedgwood, Houston.
Yeah.
It was in a gravel parking lot right by train tracks.
RVs.
We would steal their power and use a hotspot to try to get our information so we could pull things up on our tiny little monitor. The bus has been an incredible thing. We end up doing this about 15, 20 episodes in. Barstool comes calling. We end up going with Barstool for a little bit.
Vrabel talked about cutting his off for a Super Bowl. Jalen Ramsey was talking. Jalen Ramsey was talking. The clip of him talking.
Oh, yeah. And I proposed to my wife in 5 weeks, and Jalen Ramsey goes, "That's some." Black people don't do that. And so it's really started to catch some steam. And as we're trying to figure out what the identity of our podcast is, it's, we took the phrase "for the boys," and it was a running thing in the locker room. Hey, we're for the boys out here. We ride together. The boys ride together. The boys, we would be like a call recall type thing. You walk into the hot tub, the boys, and you get like 4 or 5 guys in the hot tub dying, waiting for practice. Can't wait for it to be over with the boys, and they kind of do what they do. We decide that this podcast, what's the number one thing that people miss or say they miss when they're out of the NFL? That is the locker room. The locker room is such a holy, incredible place. Anybody who's played sports knows, whether it's hockey, soccer, baseball, football, anything, basketball, playing the game is fantastic, and it's something where legends are made, but being in the locker room with the boys, having those experiences with those individuals is something that is second to none. Our podcast is nothing more than you getting an inside look of what the locker room is on a day-to-day basis. We talk about ridiculous things. We talk about inappropriate things. We take down what's happening in the sports world at this time. We talk about the Super Bowl. We talk about all this stuff, and we have these creative guests from other teams, other facets of life, whether it's comedians, UFC fighters, artists,
golfers, anybody.
You bring them into this world where we have taken the stance that we are not a podcast trying to get clicks. We're not a podcast that's trying to get it. Well,
come on now.
Yeah,
we still want.
We're not trying to get a headline of like, we're not trying to get guys in trouble. We've literally given guys freedom to be like, hey, speak freely, be who you are, and if something really doesn't tickle you the right way, we are more than willing to take that off, even if it would make our podcast get more views. We are a podcast for the boys, by the boys.
By the boys.
By the boys. And it's a beautiful thing.
Love it. We were told we had 5 minutes. I think that answer was 5 minutes on its own.
Yeah.
There are just 3 quick things from that. Firstly, I'm the biggest Mike Vrabel fanboy in the UK, and that story has just taken that to all new levels. So, absolute win for that one. What's the spot?
The spot.
Tell them Zips.
Hey,
dude.
gotta go to Zippers, dude. If I was on death row and I had one more meal, I would go to Zips. Listen carefully. You're gonna go there. You're gonna get the Monaco focaccia. It's got the jalapeno dipping sauce on there. You get the fries. You get the side salad if you're watching your weight a little bit. Then you're gonna look at the waitress.
Look at me.
You look fantastic. What are you talking about? The blazer's unbelievable. So you're going to sit there, you're going to look at the waitress, you say, ma'am, I am here. I'm from across the pond. I want to enjoy a nice Arizona meal at Zips. Please get me 10 of the Zips golden wings, medium hot, extra crispy with some ranch on it. Brother, I'm telling you right now, you will be talking to God.
Were we talking about finding a wing spot earlier today? We found a good
breakfast. There you go.
Found
Zips, boys. We're getting pulled out of 1,000 different directions. It was an absolute pleasure. I hope we can do this again sometime.
Coming back to Tennessee next year?
We'll find out.
Yes, he is.
We'll find out, boys.